Welcome, welcome, welcome.
Hey.
We are so excited. You got to get ready. It's about to go down with me and Toni. We're coming to you with our new podcast, Uncomfortable Truths.
Ooh.
Oh my gosh, we're going to give you real talk.
Yep.
We're going to talk about
Very
complicated relationships.
Mm-hmm.
We're also going to allow you to get a peek into our lives, our trauma, but real hope that came from that. And so that hopefully at the end of the day, from all of this, a lot of the things that we talk about is the things that people are thinking.
Yes, it is the things that you're thinking.
Probably things that you've spoken about to others in private.
Maybe, or wanted to.
Or there could be things that just make you say,
Things that make you go,
You don't know nothing about that. Let me find out, Toni. Yeah, so again, it's funny that this really birthed because me and Toni would get on the phone. We're Survivor sisters, and we would get on the phone from time to time and just start talking about all type of issues that were going on.
Yeah.
And I just remember saying, you know what? We really need a platform so that we can talk about these things that, especially as survivors, which we'll get into our backdrops in future episodes and stuff. But whenever you've been able to survive any major trauma, period, there comes with consequences as you go through your healing journey, as we talk about. And sometimes you don't get to see the resources for that. You don't get to hear people talk about that. You don't get to see survivors that are in a healthy place to be raw and transparent.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of that is what we'll be able to dive into, because I always say there's nothing you can say about what I did back in the day, even last year, that's going to bother me, because that was last year. I need you to deal with me today. And so because of that, we're able to get deep and talk about some things. And it's funny, Toni told her husband, I don't know if you want to do this. And it's funny because I told my children, I said, well, now you might learn a few things about your mama.
We'll decide if we'll be airing this or not.
Right, that part. Stay tuned.
No,
right?
But I remember when we were talking once, and we were talking about something, and I said, I've never vocalized this before. And I've vocalized a lot of things. I've processed a lot of things. I've been through a lot of counseling. Mm-hmm. And I was like, I wonder how many other people have thought of this but aren't talking about it, but would like to talk to someone about it, or listen to someone talk about it, see what their perspective is. Because sometimes it's scary to talk about stuff until we know, what do other people think about this?
Yes.
Yeah.
And it's funny because, here are some of the topics. I'm just going to give you just a little bit that we're talking about, especially when it comes to the human trafficking realm, just sexual abuse and domestic violence. We'll be touching on all three of those, which can ultimately be intertwined a lot of times too.
Mm-hmm.
And even if, and this is something
it is intertwined because we've experienced
all three. Yes.
All of that.
Yes.
Unfortunately. Sorry, I didn't mean to laugh in a weird moment, but
it's just one of those things, again, you have to laugh to keep from crying once you've been through so much. I just noticed that sometimes when I'm going through, I'm like, oh my God, again, really, we're in this place. But some of the topics that we will be talking about, we're going to do some trauma dumping when your venting becomes toxic to your friends. I'm really careful about that. And it's probably negative too, because I'll actually stay away from my friends. So there can be two extremes. There could be two extremes. When you're going through something, sometimes you fall back and you don't want to feel like you're burdening your friends. Yeah. But a lot of times then you become isolated and you ostracize those that can really be your support system.
Yeah. Yeah.
So we'll be digging into that, which that one will be a really good one. When was the first time you enjoyed sex?
Or have you ever?
Ooh, that one is something that,
it's bringing back some stuff.
I mean, especially as a sexual abuse survivor of any type, nobody really does. Funny, there was a human trafficking conference in Texas. The Department of Family and Protective Services put it on about 2 years ago, and there was a class on sexual healing. Mm-hmm. I don't know if you sat in there with me. I can't remember.
I did.
Okay, but
no, I did.
You did.
Or I did a different one. I don't know, but I've sat in on one.
Yes.
Was it taught by a survivor?
Yes.
Yes. Okay.
Yes.
Yeah.
And so it was the first time that I really asked myself about what sex means to me now, like,
Mhm.
and how I enjoy it or not, or if there are certain things that trigger me that I never really dealt with, or even explored. And so even talking about those things, we'll get into that a little bit. Why do we stay? Ooh, we'll talk
Stay
about
where?
stay in toxic
Oh,
relationships.
yes.
What makes you stay? Is it a
Yeah.
trauma bond? Is it insecurity? Is it
Fear.
fear? Is it, and again, fear of retaliation or fear of
Mhm.
not being accepted because you might have pushed your
Fear of
family
surviving
out?
outside of it.
Yes. Can
Yeah.
I survive? Like, what does that look like, especially if you've been controlled? So we'll dig into that a little bit. Here's another one that I think we might touch a little bit, but even defining the sex industry versus sex exploitation.
Mm.
Really digging into like defining
Mhm.
that sex versus intimacy,
Yeah.
and really defining that there's a difference because intimacy
There's
doesn't
difference.
necessarily involve sex.
Yeah.
So really talking about that as well. We have some other ones. Places you put yourself that hinder your healing experience.
Wow.
And that's really important because a lot of times we'll make excuses to why we're not in a, to a certain place in our healing, but you're not recognizing that where you're putting yourself or the things you're allowing yourself to be exposed to is constantly bringing you down
Yeah.
or keeping you stagnant. So there's just a whole bunch of stuff. I can't wait for us to, here's another one. Are you wife material? There's a lot of women that are out there saying, I want a husband, but you can't pay no bills. I want a husband, but you can't keep your own house clean. I want a husband, but you can't keep a job. I want a husband, but you don't even know yourself, or you're not even healed from your past trauma. And you steady telling him to call Tyrone. What we doing? What are we doing? So we're going to talk about what that looks like. Here's another deep one, and it's not necessarily about sex per se, but here's another one we came up with. Desegregation. Did it destroy the Black community and the Black family? And really kind of digging into something that's very controversial that I like to talk about, because I'm going to tell you what I think when we get to that topic. I ain't going to tell you now. Yeah. And then, this is what we were talking about that made us really want to launch this. I think we were talking about how we elevate celebrities above their sins, because we were talking about the discrepancy where you can have someone that has money that's like raping or sexual assault or doing various crimes, and they don't get the same level of punishment that somebody that doesn't have that type of money would get.
Yeah. But I also remember us talking about parents who have harmed us in public, like, because we're both in the public eye a lot on our past, and that was what was kind of like, oh
yeah, that's a good one too. And really, yes, because recently, for those that know my story, I talked a little bit about the role that my mother played, and I remember somebody asking me, like, how could you forgive her? Like, how does that really work? Knowing that she's still a trigger for me, and even talking through how do you mend those relationships, especially if your parents are alive, and if they're not alive, how do you let them go to where they're not holding you captive from the grave? And so really digging into the parents, and there's just so much that's going on. So we'll be doing hot topics. We'll have different trends of the day. We'll have some funny spots. So it's not all deep and hard. The main thing was we wanted to really give hope. And hope really comes from you being able to see others and really talk through it, to know that you're not feeling this by yourself and not being embarrassed.
I'm getting a healing vibe here.
Okay.
That we're gonna experience some healing.
Yes.
That you're gonna experience some healing. That there's gonna be some tears, maybe.
There's gonna be some tears.
It's got me a little scared, but
it's so necessary.
It is necessary.
As survivors, we don't see a lot of these type of platforms that are done. Like, I cannot think of anybody that's doing a show similar from a survivor's lens.
Right. I can't.
And I'm really trying to
think.
There
could be, but I can't think of anyone.
I can't think. At least in our circles, right? So where we're at, we're out of Texas, and so out of this realm, I don't really see that right now.
Yeah.
But we're hoping to change that. Like, that's the goal, is that we're hoping to change that. And again, we'll always be open for you to send in show suggestions as well, and different topics. We'll be having guests that come on with us as well. So it'll be a nice variety of different things. We'll be doing some things on location, because one of the things we do like to do is have a good time, have fun. This right here is my bike rider. So we'll be able to do
this kind of bike.
Yeah.
Not that kind of bike. bike.
No, she's motorcycle. She down for real. Now y'all not gonna see me on it, but y'all will enjoy Toni on it. You know, I'm the one jumping out of planes and she's doing the bike. We both have our different levels of, you know,
crazy.
what I'm saying? Yeah. Yeah. So we'll have some fun with that, which will be nice. But I think what we really wanted to do with this first is just to kind of introduce ourselves a little bit. We encourage you to go to our Facebook page, Uncomfortable Truths podcast, to follow us. Again, we'll be doing all types of things that we'll be sharing on there as well. We'll be talking about our books to hopefully help you in your journey in coping or learning. We'll also be making suggestions of other great reads as well that we feel that will be a great resource to you too. But really briefly, one thing we wanted to kind of set the tone for that'll lead us into our next episode, which we want you to join for that, is just really defining this question on what is your purpose? What is your true destiny? Is it a single thing or is it a multiplicity of things? Is it a purpose can be to where, you know, you have different phases or seasons in your life that you go through and like really finding what that is. And I think a lot of times that's what leads people down. It can lead them down a negative trajectory because they may not be able to grasp exactly what it is or recognize they're already living in their purpose and accept it.
Yeah.
What do you think?
And that's a big one, recognizing that you may already have it inside of you. You may not recognize it yet, but it will come out as you take those steps forward. And, you know, throughout my whole life, I've always been very curious about people and people's behaviors and why they are the way they are. So even during, you know, the years that I was being abused as a child, I remember sitting at school watching people. I was a people watcher and just wondering, why did they do that? Why did they do that? And it really led to where I am today and why I wondered that. I'm a licensed counselor, and my whole purpose in life is helping people heal from their trauma. That is my purpose. So I'm good at a lot of things and mediocre at a lot of things that I love doing. Like some of the things I love doing, I'm horrible at, but I keep doing it. But I am.
Join the club.
But it all points towards helping other people heal, because a lot of other people feel uncomfortable in their own skin because maybe they aren't good at doing things or they haven't found that thing out yet. And I'm just flip-flopping all over the place, loving life.
And that can be fun too, you know, like really exploring what is it? And it doesn't necessarily mean it has to be singular. Because as you grow, you really start to find yourself and your voice, and that allows you to accept that purpose of what you feel you're drawn to. Or, you know, on a spiritual lens, you know, I do feel that God has a purpose. Sometimes we try to figure out, what are you doing, God? Like what? Why did you allow? That's that question that happens. Why did you allow these things to happen to me? And and Job is one of my most favorite people in the Bible to talk about, because again, he chose Job not because he was doing something wrong, but because he trusted him. He trusted that if he was tried with these things, that he would not break his faith in him.
I have to tell you, that's a hard one.
It is.
That's hard. That's hard for me, because there's times when I have been brutally hurt, and especially in my adult life, being brutally hurt by people that I trusted, and just being like angry at God.
Well, and I can say even on this year,
I think that's a whole show right there. Right?
Even on this year, I was just talking to someone. I said, this year has been one of the most tragic for me in recent memory. I started the year off in a horrible, horrible place. And it was just like one thing after another. And I just kept saying, oh my gosh, I'm about to break. Like I could feel like I'm about to break. And people kept saying, but you're so strong. And I got to a point, I'm sick of being strong. Like that's not the rep I want. Like I'm not asking for me to have this strong girl rep. I just want 30 days with no drama, with no hurt, with no pain. Like, look, I didn't ask God for a year. I just said 30 days. Can I give 30 days where I'm not stressed out or in tears, or I lost someone that was really close to me, or something traumatic has happened to me? I just want 30 days. So trust me, we're going to get into like being very transparent about those feelings. And knowing that it's okay to be in a place, but not stay in a place.
Yeah.
It's okay to feel, it's okay to question, it's okay. But it's what do we do once we have asked the questions, once we've kind of let the outburst of emotions out, now what? There has to be a next step, and just really kind of working through what that looks like. Because we've all, no matter what you've been through, have been through that place.
Right. So what's your purpose or destiny? Where are you at in that?
Well, as a type 2 personality, according to the Enneagram, I'm all about people too. Like I do feel, and I say it all the time, I don't believe that God allowed me to live through all of that hell for myself.
Yeah.
And so someone that I was very close to at one point said, tell your story. Every chance you get, tell your story, because you never know whose life you're either saving or impacting by your testimony. Yeah. And they may never come back and tell you, you may never hear from them about that seed that you planted. Yeah. But I really feel, and especially as a woman of color, telling a story that, yes, I've been through something, but I can still pull out. I may not get the apology that, or the validation I was looking for from those that hurt me. I may not get that. You may not ever get that. But building up enough faith in myself that I'm enough to help someone else feel that same way. So I'm the same way with the help. Yeah. But I had to learn that in helping people, I couldn't destroy myself.
Right.
Because I learned, I was pouring so much into everybody.
Ragged.
Yes. Yeah. I put so much into everybody else. And then I'm like, dog tired. I'm mentally drained. I'm physically drained, financially tapped out. Like I really had to learn about self-care and balance. Boundaries, which is so important. That's a show in and of itself that we'll definitely get to, but having those boundaries, and it's okay to say no. And it's okay to be selfish. Like, it is okay that Sophia wants to take a day where I don't answer that phone, that I can say no, I'm not going to let you borrow money. No, you can't have my car. No, I'm not going to run and do this. No, I can say no, and it is okay.
And you can probably, if you've been through some trauma in your life, you can probably relate to that. How difficult it is to say no to people and wanting everyone to be happy or feel good. And it's a common trait with a lot of people who've been deeply wounded. So
this feel good nonsense. I just want everybody around me to be happy, as if that's a reality 24 hours a day.
Right. It's not.
There's just, you can get frustrated and then you be right back. Okay, I'm good. That's done. Let's move on. But like I cannot live my life for everybody else. And it was such a hard place in reality to come to, especially given that I was literally bred from 9 to do that. So it is hard to kind of retrain your mind or have a paradigm shift when that's all you know and was exposed to. But that's what's fun about what we're going to do, these uncomfortable truths about, like, how do we start breaking down some of these things that really are holding us captive?
Yeah.
And we don't have to stay in that place. And so we're just excited. We're going to cut up a little bit.
We'll be cutting up.
Yeah, we're going to give you the real deal, Holyfield, but we're going to do all of that again in a place where by the end of the conversation, it's about hope and inspiration. And by the end of every show, that's what we want people leaving with. Whether you got to laugh, you might have got to cry out, but that's okay. You might have been holding it for a while. Whether we were able to give some resources and information to where you could help someone else, because you might not have been exposed to it, but you might know somebody else. Most of us do know somebody else. And so, as we always say, being an effective bystander, what does that look like? And being able to talk through that. And then there's just some things going on in the world we just going to talk about because it's just, we don't talk about it. I'm just trying to figure it out. And so that's what we're going to do with Uncomfortable Truths podcast with Sophia and Toni. And again, I'm so excited to be doing this with my girl. I think we're just going to have a blast.
How did we meet? How long ago? We need to talk about that.
Okay.
If we have time. Do we have time?
We got a few minutes. Okay. So Toni sought me out. So this is what happened. So we're on Facebook, and see, we can be real. So what you'll learn too, like when we talk about Black-white issues, like we're not one of these super sensitive, like in our feelings, all of that kind of stuff. So we talk about it very loosely. So just get with it. You'll be okay. So
just get with it.
just get with it. You'll be okay. There's enough like stress and drama in the world. Have a laugh. You'll be okay. So this was 2016, and Toni is actually very well known. She's very modest right now, but she's very well known in the state around advocacy in the human trafficking industry realm. Very well known. And so she had been going to meetings around this topic, different events, speaking events, stuff like that, and never saw Black people.
Yeah.
Or should I say really a Black survivor, really.
No Black people.
Black people, period.
I'm telling you.
It wasn't none of us.
There was
It
none.
wasn't none of us. Okay? And so she said, you know what? I'm determined to find me a Black person.
I was determined.
She was determined to find a Black person. You know, this is what I love. When you're around people that realize, listen, I need this guy.
I grew up in a very diverse community.
Yes.
And so I just realized after, I don't know, 2 or 3 months, like, why are there only white people here? Like,
and we're going to talk about, you know what? It's a very serious thing because in the domestic violence space, sexual assault, and human trafficking space, you primarily, when it comes to advocacy, even providers, even media publications, you primarily only see white, or you'll see the depiction of Asians in the massage parlor, or you'll see Latinx, Hispanic when it comes, and they confuse smuggling with human trafficking, which those are two separate things, and the cantina. So you'll primarily see that, but you don't see a lot of Blacks unless you see a pimp on the corner fishnet. That's when you see the Blacks. But again, what most people don't realize is that in all three of those realms, African-American young girls and adults are most vulnerable and the most at risk. However, they're not the ones that are most depicted or that you see. And so again, Toni's mindset was like we need to have people here at the table with a voice that represents actually the larger population of those that are being affected.
Right.
So she was on a Facebook group, and I think I had just posted something about my book, which I rarely do. I rarely go on there and really just self-promote my book. I don't even remember the last time I put it on there, but I had put it on there about my book, Sophia, I'm Back. And she saw it and she inboxed me. OMG, can I talk to you? I said, you got a story, something like that. And she got on the phone and she was like, we need Black people.
I'm just blunt. I'm very honest.
And I thought, and she said, I don't want you to feel like a token.
Did I say that?
Yes,
I don't know. I did. Okay,
did.
good.
But I really feel like there should be people of color at the table, especially having a voice in a lot of these areas. Is it okay if I start inviting you to different things? And that was in 2016. And from there, we've been like on at the hip. I mean, so she really helped to infuse me in the circuit statewide, which is phenomenal because, again, I started to see, oh my gosh, there really isn't any Black people around here. And I'm in we're in Central Texas area, and there wasn't. And so from there, I know personally, I've made it my mission to allow my story to be told. There's a few others that we've met in the meantime that really make sure that it's known that one of the purposes behind this is because we want survivors to see other survivors of color that look like them in a healthy place and can be successful in whatever right that looks like. But also those that might still be in the life to be able to see, oh, you know what? I can get out.
This isn't it.
Yes.
You know,
and I can do more. I'm not going to be stunted like my pimp told me or my recruiter is telling me, like, I can be and do something more. You
can do something else with your life. You don't have to stay in it.
Yeah. And so ever since then, we've been doing projects together, built a friendship even outside of the work per se. But, you know, we both had busy lives, but it seems like once we do get together, it's like we didn't even miss a beat.
Pick up where we left
off. Right. And what's
because
really...
she's Miss Popular now.
But you know, it's funny. So just this year we recorded an episode on HGTV, and and I was on 40-Year-Old Property Virgin, and one of the reasons I decided to do the show again because I'm on this mission to show survivors that you can do what you put your mind to, and so I let people into my home to show that you can still buy your dream home. You can still do all of those things that you wanted to do. And you're not too old to do it too. You might not have been able to accomplish certain things younger, but you can be 40 and plus and still be able to set out to be a homeowner. If entrepreneurship is for you, if not, just climbing the career ladder or just finding what that passion is for you. And so I invited her and one of our other friends to come along. And I told her, I said, yeah, I need people to know I got white friends too. I said, I need to have my one or two. And so one of my friends, she was sick and she couldn't. So Toni was the Lone Ranger. And got her 15 seconds so people would know I'm a little bit diverse, you know.
As the camera pans.
Yeah,
pan. You see
and then it comes right back.
Bright light and then it keeps going.
But, you know, I got more than just Toni. I need y'all to know. I do. I have a good, robust of all. And what's funny is even with my company, last year, this time we did like a Christmas get together. And I had people that worked for me from, and even now, Romania, Pakistan, France. They had just, still green cards.
You're like the United Nations.
I am the United Nations. But remember we talked about that too.
I didn't know if we did. We can't talk about that on here.
Like we're gonna have a show where we talk about
the United Nations.
The United Nations that we might have been involved with in our dating. That's a part of the healing.
Yes,
y'all gonna learn.
It is. Part of the healing.
Everything, we make decisions and don't realize it from a hurt place, and then we like beat ourselves up about it. But that's why it's so important to find healthy coping mechanisms when you have been abused but just in any life circumstance, because then you can become a part of the United Nations unknowingly.
You might not want to be.
You don't want to. That's why I said you got
United Nations we're talking about.
Right.
Everyone's gonna be messaging us now. Like now you got to tell us what the United Nations is.
Stay tuned. You'll learn. Yeah. But anyway, we're excited. Again, this is just a little intro so you can get to know what we're going to do. We'll be dropping all of our streaming information. We'll be able to stream on YouTube. We're on Twitter. We'll be on Instagram, Facebook. So you'll be able to catch us at any time whenever we go live.
Maybe I'll slide in a little bit there on TikTok. I don't know.
Oh, we got
I am a TikTok addict.
She's a TikToker.
I'm a TikTok addict.
My daughter's a TikToker. It takes me about 50 takes. Like, you know what's crazy? I'm so mad at myself. There was a time I had rhythm. Like, I could really dance. I was really sharp. I am just ridiculously out of shape, out of rhythm. And it's so disgusting because I never thought I'd be that mom. I never thought I'd be that one. But whenever my daughter is trying to do a TikTok, she the blooper reel is funnier than the actual routine that we get down. You'll see it. Yeah, you'll see it. But anyway, this is our time, you guys. We wanted to just come on and introduce ourselves and let you know what you're in store for. And it's going to be great. Mm-hmm. And I can't wait.
Yeah.
All right. Well, you have a good one. Tune in next time. Ciao.
Bye.